Hi, delegates. Good morning. How are you feeling today? We will start soon, so please open your camera, turn on your camera, and then get ready for the second day of our simulation. However, while we are waiting for the others to join us in the meeting, uh, the chair would like to have an informal session before we begin the formal session. So I wrote in the chat box about please prepare the name of your favorite food or your favorite dish, and then what kind of spices are used to be are used in the process of making that food. So it would be nice to hear perhaps the diversity of your favorite food from your country, or maybe from the country that you are representing in this meeting simulation. So while you're preparing that, I would like to greet and give a very good morning to all of you, to my assistant chair, and also for the fellow delegates, and those of you who are watching this via restricted YouTube live. Good morning from Indonesia, and it is a great pleasure on behalf of Negeri Rempah Foundation and also Indonesian Maritim Youths. We are going to conduct the second day of the meeting simulation, which we are using the IORA Councils of Ministers meeting. So good morning, and let's start with this informal session. I will be asking based on the picture that I'm seeing on my screen. So first I will be asking to Mr. Hamdan Shakir, representing United Arab Emirates. Good morning, UAE. How are you feeling?
Hello, good morning, Madam Chair. I've never been better. How about you?
Yeah, we're doing okay. Could you tell us like what's your favorite food, and then what's the spices that is used in making it?
I literally don't really know what kind of food that I like it so much, but when I eat something, yeah, that's what I like. So yeah, that's the specific things of food. I don't really know what I like.
Okay, you don't have any favorite food?
I no, I don't. I don't say that, but if I eat any food, yeah, I like that food. But for specific, I don't really know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, UAE. Perhaps
Yes.
I can invite Indonesia, Miss Trindi.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My favorite food. Actually, I love chocolate, but but if there's another favorite food, it's do you know seblak from Bandung?
Semplak?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, from Bandung.
Oh, seblak. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love it, and it's I think it's made with various spice. I just know galangal, I think.
Mm,
Yeah, just it.
nice.
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Seblak is kind of spicy sometimes, right? Like
I really love
good
spicy food.
taste, not really good for your stomach.
Yeah.
Thank you,
But
Miss
once
Trindi.
you eat it, I think you can stop it.
Yeah, that's true. Like for a university student, it's like a good meal.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miss Trindi. Next, perhaps I can call um, Mr. Fawaz Sinar, representing PRC.
Morning, Madam Chair.
Morning. So, what's your favorite food, and what kind of spices are used in that food?
Because I am a Japanese, so I really like gudeg and soto. It is very familiar with my tongue, and that is my favorite all the time.
Oh, that's nice. Do you know what kind of spices are used?
Mm, Based on my grandmother told me is kapulaga, and then they had also a, a ginger, and then mm, we say it in Japanese is kunci, and then what else? Mm, Pepper also, yeah.
Pepper, yeah, that's nice. Thank you, PRC. Next, perhaps I can invite Miss Mariska Zanatulaila, representing Australia.
Yes, madam. I really like soto ayam.
Soto ayam, okay. How do you translate soto ayam? Indonesian
Chicken soto. Oh,
chicken soto.
from what I know, the spices are garlic, turmeric, shallots, and pepper. I
Yeah.
guess that's all I know.
Okay, that's nice.
Uh,
It's a good breakfast. Thank you, Australia. Perhaps Miss Naila, my assistant chair, if you could speak, do you want to share your favorite food?
Yes, Miss Agatha, I would love to. Um, I think my favorite food is chicken sambalado. I don't know what's in English, sambalado. Yeah, it's very good. I think because I'm from Sumatra, I like that a lot. And then I think the spices. From what I know, lime leaves, bay leaves, I think, and then garlic also, and then galangal, if I'm not wrong, lengkuas. I think it's very good.
That's nice. Thanks, my Miss Naila. Um, I also want to share one of my favorite food, like especially for breakfast. I think it's like Indonesian most favorite nasi goreng, like fried rice. It's like yeah, good good breakfast or like food, like because you can eat it like for any time, and of course it's you can have with garlic, lots of garlic if you like, and then with pepper. I like having a kind of spicy, uh, not that spicy fried rice, and yeah, I think the spices make it like more delicious. Perhaps I see Miss Dini. Miss Dini is, I think it's South Africa. Yeah, I remember the profile picture. Morning, South Africa.
Morning, Chair. I want to rename my here first.
It's okay. We are having informal discussion about our favorite food and the spices. Maybe if you could share also your favorite food and then your favorite, or maybe some spices that is used in making that food.
Maybe for the spices per se, I love the sweet one. It would be vanilla because
South Africa,
most
you're
of
breaking up. Your voice are breaking up.
breaking up. It's still breaking up, or sounds better.
It's still kind of like.
Okay. I gonna.
Now we can hear you kind of clearly. Can you try to say again?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Okay. It appears that the internet connection is like going pretty hard on us. It's okay. And perhaps some of the delegates also are having classes in the morning. So it's okay. We can start first, and then we can see if like later they will come in. It's okay. We totally understand that it's the time. Perhaps it's your time to have a class or maybe other activities. But we really appreciate to all of you who have joined with us this very morning. Hi, South Africa. Do you want to try to tell your favorite food again? Or perhaps the connection is still not that good. It's okay. Thank you so much, all delegates, for sharing your favorite food and the spices. You definitely make us feel hungry in this morning, but that's a good thing that you already know some of the spices, particularly the spices that we can easily find in our kitchen and maybe in our country. So that's nice to know. So before we start formally, I would like to give some announcement. It's actually kind of similar of what we already discussed yesterday, and I will be sharing my screen. So this is just a few rules for the meeting simulation, that we will be using English during the simulation, and you are required to wear business attire or shirt with the blazer or with a suit and then tie during the meeting simulation. And then thank you for renaming yourselves with the following format: country with first name and last name. The chair recognized that all of you have changed the name accordingly. And then another point is that you may use noting via chat, so you can chat among yourselves. For example, Delegate of Australia want to give a chat to PRC, you may do so with the chat box or like direct message. But please remember to uh, communicate always in English. And then if you have any questions, if you have any inquiries to the chair or assistant chair, you can also write to us in using this chat box. So for our agendas today, this morning we will have another opening session or like an informal session from 9 until 9:30. Perhaps we can even start earlier the committee session 4, but we will finish our committee session number 4 on 11:30 like yesterday. So you will have ample time for lunch break from 11:30 until 1 p.m. Jakarta time, and then we will continue with committee session from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. And in the fifth committee session, we will be having several discussions first, and then followed by presentations of your joint communique, and then followed by voting session. We're more likely to finish our formal debate in the committee session number 5. However, if there's like some new circumstances or we need to add some discussions, we can still have time to continue our discussion from 3:30 until 5. It's actually, we'll finish at 5 p.m. So not 5:30, but it's just like to be just in case if we need more time. And for the joint communique, this is just a reminder. Please do not forget that in creating the joint communique, these are the 5 things that has to be included. And please, in writing the joint communique, all of the discussions or like all the points in your joint communique must be already discussed in the formal meeting. So if you have any ideas, if you have any thoughts or solutions, but you haven't talked to the meeting, to everyone or delegates, please use the formal method with the moderated caucus and the unmoderated caucus to discuss about your ideas, your solutions. So there will be like a consensus from all of you in pushing forward, or like in submitting this joint communique. Sorry. And for this committee session number 4, you may also continue working on this joint communique, perhaps later on after we have some moderated caucuses. And if you wish to consult with the chair, you may do so. For example, if you have any questions, you may reach the chair during the unmoderated caucus or during the break. So that is some informations. And then we will, of course, in this committee session, we will begin with roll call, and then we will open general speakers list also, and we will continue with motions. So that is basically what we are going to do for today. And this will be our final day of the simulation. So looking forward to hear more ideas and then more discussions amongst you. And yeah, hopefully like at the end of the day, we will have the joint communique as our outcome of this meeting simulation. So that's it from me. Perhaps Ms. Naila, do you have anything to add? Okay, everything's okay. Okay, then we still have more or less 5 minutes before we begin to the formal debate. But the chair recognized that Malaysia has joined our meeting. Perhaps we can ask Malaysia also if she can share her favorite food. But the audio is still connecting. Morning, Malaysia. Morning, Malaysia.
Morning, Madam Chair.
Morning. We're just about to start the formal debate, but we are still having the informal discussions. How are you feeling today?
I'm good, Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. We kind of share about our favorite food and then what kind of spices are used in the making that food. Maybe you can share to us what is your favorite food also? Do you have any particular food that you like a lot, Miss Nurma Wulandari?
Sorry, Madam Chair, can you repeat?
Could you kindly share your favorite food? What is the name of your favorite food?
My favorite food is nasi padang.
It's a. Thank you for giving us ideas what to eat for lunch. Do you know what kind of spices are used in making nasi padang?
Santan.
What else?
Coconut milk. Rice.
We are about to have like a cooking demo. What else do you know? That would be your homework. But thank you, Malaysia, for sharing your favorite food. I think for many Indonesians, nasi padang is like very close to our heart, and options for having lunch or dinner. It's always a good food. So thank you so much, delegates. We think that it's time to proceed. Thank you again for sharing your favorite food, and because I think in diplomacy, food is also one of the greatest weapon in sharing our cultures, in sharing our um, nationals resources and treasures. So perhaps later on, if you are really like joining meeting simulation, model United Nations, and especially if you're joining like international meeting simulation like this, one of the discussion or like small talk that really works is discussing about your country's food and also cultural things, cultural heritages. That's very useful, and hopefully later on, if we have another meeting simulation or like you participate in other meeting simulations, you can also still bear in mind about your country's richness of cultural resources. So that's it. With that, the chair would like to announce that the fourth committee session of the IORA ministers meeting, councils of ministers meeting is open. Okay, so thank you, delegates, for coming in with to join our fourth committee session. We will have the session from 9:30 until 11:30, so approximately 2 hours. And then in this session, moderated caucus and unmoderated caucus are in order. However, we will start with the general speakers list first, and then followed by more motions. And just like what the chair has informed you on this committee session, the topics would be topic number 2. We haven't finished, or we only touch upon like really a few things on the second topic. So we will continue our discussion on spice route as a common heritage, and then followed by our third topic, climate change and sustainable development goals. So those two topics will be discussed in this committee session. Kindly prepare your speech, your positions regarding to these topics. And since we are in a small group, perhaps the chair could encourage all delegates to speak on the general speakers list. In the general speakers list, during the general speech, the delegates are welcome to state your country's position again, and then your expectation, your hope. Perhaps you can remind us again what was the discussion yesterday, and then maybe some developments from your country or like the group that you're working with in creating the joint communique. So you may have the time, approximately 2 minutes, to have this development being shared in the formal speech. But before that, of course, we have to start with a roll call. Perhaps my assistant chair can share the screen and we can start with a roll call. The chair will call your name or your delegation name one by one. And when the chair calls your country, please state that you are present and voting. Please be mindful that in this meeting simulation, we will not entertain only present. So all delegates must or are uh, are obliged to give the vote in substantive and also procedural voting, meaning that in each motions, the chair will encourage all countries to give their vote whether they are in favor or against the motion. So we will start with the roll call session for committee session number 4. We will start with Australia.
Delegate of Australia is present and voting.
Thank you, Australia. Unfortunately we couldn't hear you that clearly. Perhaps you can speak louder or you speak closer to the speaker, to the microphone. Sorry, that would be great. Thank you, Australia.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate of Bangladesh. Delegate of Bangladesh is not present. Delegate of Brunei Darussalam. Delegate of Brunei Darussalam is not present. Delegate of Cambodia. Cambodia is not present. Delegate of China.
Present and voting.
Thank you, Delegate of China. Delegate of Comoros. Comoros is not present. Delegate of Egypt. Egypt is still not present. Delegate of France. France is still not present. Delegate of Germany. Germany is not present. Delegate of India. India is not present. Delegate of Indonesia.
Delegates of Indonesia present and voting.
Thank you, Indonesia. Delegate of Iran. Iran is absent. Delegate of Italy. Italy is not present. Delegate of Japan. Japan is not present. Delegate of Kenya. Kenya is still not present. Delegate of South Korea. South Korea is not present. Delegate of Laos. Laos is not present. Delegate of Madagascar. Madagascar is not present. Delegate of Malaysia.
Malaysia present and voting.
Thank you, Malaysia. Delegate of Maldives. Maldives is not present. Delegate of Mauritius. Mauritius is not present. Delegate of Mozambique. Mozambique is not present. Delegate of Myanmar. Myanmar is still not present. Delegate of Oman. Oman is not present. Delegate of Philippines. Perhaps the delegate of Philippines are still having trouble with connections. Perhaps he could join soon. Delegate of Singapore. Singapore is not present. Delegate of Seychelles. Seychelles is not present. Delegate of Somalia. Somalia is not present. Delegate of South Africa.
Delegate of South Africa is present and voting.
Thank you, South Africa. Delegate of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is not present. Delegate of Tanzania. Tanzania is not present. Delegate of Thailand. Thailand is not present. Delegate of Turkey. Turkey is not present. Delegate of United Arab Emirates. Delegate of UAE.
The delegates of United Arab Emirates is present and voting. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, UAE. Delegate of United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is not present. Delegate of United States of America. USA is not present. Delegate of Vietnam. Vietnam is not present. Delegate of Yemen. Yemen is not present. Thank you, delegates. With a total of 6 delegates, therefore, our 50% plus 1 would be 4. And then okay, let me check. Just a moment. Since the 2/3 would be the same as majority vote, on the chair's discretion, we will use with this same voting. So we will have the same number required for the passing a motion we need like 4 delegates, and then for substantive voting, we also need 4 delegates. However, the chair recognized that there will be sometime internet connections. So perhaps on this first committee session, we encourage all of you to be supportive so we can pass the minimum requirements to pass a motion regarding the topics spice route and also the climate change and SDG. So we need 4 delegates in favor to pass a motion. Okay, so let us continue with the general speakers list. The chair would like to invite all countries to be included in the general speakers list. Is there any objections? No? Okay. Then the chair will be inviting delegates one by one based on alphabetical order. With that, Delegate of Australia will be speaking first, followed by Delegate of Indonesia. So Delegate of Australia, you may have 2 minutes to deliver your general speech. You may begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, my honorable chair and delegates. I'm so grateful of being here today and meet you for sharing insightful ideas to solve and give solutions together. As we know and we have discussed in the previous day about Indian Ocean, we know that Indian Ocean is the third largest of the world's oceanic divisions that place 19.8% of the water surface on the earth. And as the previous day going, we have known that Indian Ocean still faces so many challenges, problems, or issues that need to be solved together immediately. We believe that by strengthening our connections with effective collaborations and sharing ideas, we will be ready to face the challenges that awaits us afterwards. As what have been stated by Nelson Mandela in 1995, that the natural urge of the facts of history and geography should broaden itself to include concept of an Indian Ocean Rim for socio-economic cooperation. Due to what have been stated by Nelson Mandela, it means that we have to increase our collaboration and cooperation. As the delegation of Australia and part of the Indian Ocean Rim, we believe that from this meeting we will come out and make progress to protect and maximize our Indian Ocean. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Australia. For the next speaker, the chair's stand would be corrected. It's gonna be delegates of People's Republic of China first, and then delegates of Indonesia. So, delegate of the People's Republic of China, you may have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you for the recognition, Your Honorable Chair. Good morning to Your Honorable Chair and Assistant Chair and all distinguished delegates. After seeing, listening, and considering the course of the debate in the first session yesterday, China will consider its status as a dialogue partner to advance as a permanent member of the IORA memberships. This is based on the agendas discussed, which are in line with China's visions and missions to bring world peace and contribute to regional economic development, especially in the Indian Oceans. Through IORA, China aims to build close relations with other member countries and does not forget to always encourage the partner countries to continue to help and contribute to each other in IORA. China is confident that the IORA will be able to become a forum for international cooperations that will have a positive impact and become a unifier for the countries in the Indian Oceans regions. China will always do its best to support, encourage, and also ensure the international cooperation efforts that are built on the foundations of the humanity. The Spice Road agenda to be discussed at these sessions will be China's effort to build peaceful dialogue with the countries in the South China Sea regions. And as the delegates of China, we would like to say that China will always on the IORA's perspective, and also we always support that the IORA become the international forum. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of China. Next on the list, Delegate of Indonesia.
Thank you for the honorable chair, and good morning to honorable chair, assistant chair, and delegates. Yesterday, we have discussed about the blue economic and the role of the youth towards Spice Road as a common heritage. Now, in this meeting, we will discuss how climate change affects many aspects in our life. The effect of climate change is not like COVID-19. It slowly happen, and one day it will drown us. So today, delegates of Indonesia encourage two other members to share the idea and make a presentation for climate change. Besides, we have delegates of Indonesia hope we can discuss more and collaborate to make a final solution for other topics like economic, maritime, biodiversity, spice route, and also the action for climate change. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia, for your speech. For the next speaker, the Delegate of Malaysia, you may have the floor. Delegate of Malaysia. It appears that Delegate of Malaysia is having connection issue. Therefore, the chair would like to invite next on the list is Delegate of South Africa. South Africa, are you here with us?
Sure.
Okay, you may have 2 minutes to deliver your speech.
Thank you. So thank you, the Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates. It is a pleasure again for South Africa to extend our sincere greetings to all delegates through this meeting session. As the part founding father of IORA, South Africa has crossed the threshold to a new era of freedom, peace, and democracy. We also believe that IORA is the foremost organization in the Indian Ocean, an ocean that provides critical sea trade routes connecting the Middle East, Africa, Asia, and Australia. The Indian Ocean is the inheritance of these countries, and IORA is perceived as the custodian of this inheritance, with a focus on bettering the lives of all the people of the region, based on the principle of the Indian Ocean being characterized as the region of peace and stability for sustainable development. Therefore, for today's meeting, we believe that all delegates have the same concern to discuss more about the climate change, SDGs, and how those things affected our ocean in economic and also agricultural sectors. We noted to have a cooperation and more collaboration in order to enhance the potential that every member state have. As previously stated by the Delegate of Australia, here we believe that the cooperation and collaboration between member states could enhance and also maximize the effect and the implementation of all the solutions that we will produce in this meeting. So here, the Delegate of South Africa, we're looking forward for a fruitful discussion afterwards. That will be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of South Africa. Last on the list, Delegate of United Arab Emirates. You may have the floor.
Um, Good morning, Madam Chair. First of all, I would like to say sorry because my internet connection feels too bad. So that's why I turned off my camera. Well, good morning, Madam Chair, and also fellow delegates. The United Arab Emirates would like to say glad to be here and to speech about the meeting simulations at the previous meeting. So we discussed a lot about the spice route in common heritage and how the actions of the youth of each country for the spice route. The United Arab Emirates delegates hope that we are able to provide mutual solutions for this spice route um, improvements. And the delegates of United Arab Emirates glad to discuss more about this the next topic today about climate change and sustainable and development goals because climate change concerns us as much as any other country. Therefore, it is important that our policies take into account climate change as a key driver of the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of United Arab Emirates. That marks the end of our general speakers list for this committee session. And we shall proceed with the formal debate, and we're having motions. And now the floor is open for motions. Is there any motions or points on the floor? You may raise your hand virtually or manually. I think we can see you also in your video. The chair recognized South Africa. You may state your proposal as South Africa.
Yes, thank you, the Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates. The Delegate of South Africa would like to raise a motion to discuss about how the climate change affected the maritime cultures, especially the member states of IORA.
Thank you, Delegate of South Africa. This motion is in order. Is there any other motions? Okay, Delegate of Australia. Sorry, Delegates of South Africa, could you please clarify your total time and speaking time?
For 8 minutes total time and 2 minutes each speaking time.
Okay, thank you, Delegate of South Africa. That's in order. Chair also recognized Delegate of Australia.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to bring motions. Strategy on tackling the climate change needs to be enhanced.
Okay, strategy on settling climate change. And then for the total time and speaking time, Australia?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, it's tackling.
Yes, Australia?
It's tackling.
Oh, tackling. Strategy on tackling the climate change. And then for the total time, how many?
10 minutes for total
Okay.
time. Yeah, speaker time 2 minutes.
And then the speaking time?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, that is in order. Thank you, Australia and also South Africa. Before we begin the voting session for these two motions, the chair would also encourage all delegates to consider discussing the spice route as well, because yesterday we only discussed a spice route or the topics of spice route as a common heritage for a bit. So in this committee session, it's still in order also to propose a motion about spice route, but perhaps we can encourage this again or entertain this in the next round of motions. We see the People's Republic of China would like to propose a motion. Perhaps after this, after we have a moderated caucus in these two motions. And before that, before the voting session, previously we have 6 people are present and voting in this committee session. And then the minimum vote in favor to pass a motion is 4. However, the chair recognized that there might be some internet connections happening along the way, the voting session. Thus, under the chair's discretion for this morning's committee session, perhaps if in a motion it's already have 3 vote in favor, we can pass the motion, so we can still have that discussion only for this committee session. So we shall begin with the first voting session for South Africa. A moderated caucus to talk about how the climate change affect the maritime culture, especially for IORA member states, for 8 minutes, with 2 minutes speaking time. The chair would like to call the countries one by one again, and please state whether you are in favor or against this motion. Delegate of Australia.
Australia is in favor, Madam Chair.
You, Australia. Delegate of China.
Yes, vote in favor.
Thank you, Delegate of China. Delegate of Indonesia.
Delegate of Indonesia is in favor.
Thank you, Indonesia. Delegate of Malaysia. Perhaps Malaysia is still having internet connection problem. Delegate of South Africa.
Delegate of South Africa is in favor with this motion. Thank you.
Delegate of South Africa. Delegate of United Arab Emirates. We saw in the chat box that UAE is in favor. So with the total of 5 voting in favor, this motion clearly passes, and we will be under South Africa's motion for the next 8 minutes with 2 minutes speaking time. South Africa, would you like to speak first or last?
The last, please.
Okay, thank you, Delegate of South Africa. Now we have 3 more slots in this motion. Delegates who wish to be included in the speakings list, please raise your hand virtually. Australia, would you like to be included in the speakers list?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, the chair recognizes Australia and People's Republic of China. 1 more slot. Perhaps Indonesia. Okay, so we will have Australia, China, and then the last speaker. Sorry, chair stands corrected. We will hear this first speech from Australia, followed by Delegate of People's Republic of China, followed by Indonesia, and then followed by Delegate of South Africa. Thank you, Ms. Naila. I will be sharing my screen to show the time. So we will be talking about climate change. Okay, I will continue this later for 8 minutes speaking time and 2 minutes each. We will first hear from Delegate of Australia. Australia, you may have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity. Indian Ocean is the busiest trade routes in history that connecting East Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, East Africa, and it goes to Europe. From the rocksea.org, Indian Ocean is the warmest among the major oceans and take important role in regulating climate and Asian monsoons. Unfortunately, Noted since 1901 to 2012, researcher found that had shown that Indian Oceans has been getting warming, especially for the Central East Asian part. This happened due to the global warming. The western area that used to be cooler is now warming as well, with the increasement of 1.2 degrees Celsius, especially in summertime. It will impact the Asian monsoon circulation and alter the marine food webs. This also will assess long-term climate change and variability. Climate change will also give great hurdles in reducing inequality, poverty, and promoting prosperity or stability. In this case, Australia NGOs have acquired deep and rich understanding of how the vulnerability to climate change varies on the ground and put strategy by advocating at local, national, and international levels for effectively mitigating and adapting the climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Australia. And then next on the list, okay, there has been some mistake. Okay. Then the next on the list, Delegate of People's Republic of China. You may have the floor.
Thank you for the recognition, Your Honorable Chair. Mr. President Xi Jinping has has stated that a developed marine economy is an important part of building maritime power, adding that China will foster and strengthen emerging high-tech marine sectors and optimize the structure of the marine industry while completing a general plan for innovative marine technology. But while boosting the country's marine economy, President Xi Jinping also emphasized that the importance of protecting the marine environment. Will be made to control the worsening marine environment. President Xi Jinping has said that marine environmental protections will be given the same priority as marine explorations. When talking about marine or environmental issue, of course, this is a big challenge for China itself. Given that China is the largest country that contributes to waste pollution to the sea, and this is very, very embarrassing and sad for us. We are constantly working to increase the people of our peoples to understand of the green plan at uh, national level. Ask we would like to ask all IORA countries to assist us in dealing with this marine debris problem because we believe that this problem is also common focus of the IORA countries. The problem of marine debris greatly affects our lives, especially for the ecological environment and the communities around the coast and island in the Indian Oceans. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of China. Next on the list, Delegate of Indonesia.
Thank you for the honorable chair. Climate change make our Earth heated up, not only for terrestrial, but the ocean has heated up too. And this is affect the organism in ocean, such as the plankton slowly disappears, and then the fish also disappears. And this is affect the fishermen to catch the fish. So the fishermen can catch a lot of fish, and the productivity is decreased. Of course, this is make another poverty in our country. So Indonesia has take a solution that is a blue carbon that we plant and protect uh, our mangrove forest and seagrass meadows. But Indonesia can do it alone for make a solution for this climate change. So Indonesia encouraged to other members of IORA to take a change to take a prevent a solution for this climate change, so we can um, increase our economic and also for the biodiversity in our ocean. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. And then last but not least, Delegate of South Africa. You may have the floor.
Thank you, the Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate. As the one of the country that is direct adjacent from Indian Ocean, South Africa faced several problems regards to the climate change per se. Based on the State of the Climate Africa reports by the World Meteorological Organization, it is captured impacts on economic and agriculture. This report also written down that the under worst case of the climate change scenario, a reduction in mean yield has increased. Also, here the delegate of therefore the delegate of South Africa would like to ask for other member state of IORA to cooperate and collaborate more in order to tackle this issue. Africa is therefore an exposure and vulnerability hotspot for climate variability and change impact. Not only the economic and the trade sector, but the climate change per se has impacted the health sector of Africa. Increases in temperature and changes in rainfall patterns also significantly affect population health across Africa. Warmer temperature and higher rainfall increase habitat suitability for breeding insects and the transmission of vector-borne disease such as dengue fever, malaria, and yellow fever. We already encourage and also approach many field and also many of solution, but here again the delegate of South Africa asked for more collaboration and cooperation in order to make the solution
Thank you, Delegate of South
more
Africa.
implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegates of South Africa. Your time has elapsed, and that marks the end of our first moderated caucus proposed by Delegate of South Africa. Thank you for your participation. And then the chair also would like to recognize that we have two delegates just joining us. So we would like to check the roll call again. Good morning, delegates of Maldives. Delegate of Maldives, are you with us?
Yes, delegates of Maldives present and voting.
Thank you, Maldives. Perhaps you're still having a class as well. That's not a problem. Thank you for tuning in. And then delegate of, another one is delegate of Malaysia has joined us again. So let us check the roll call. Australia here, China, Indonesia, Malaysia still here. And then we add Maldives. So Maldives is here. And then South Africa is here, UAE is here. So we have 7 delegates in total, meaning that we can have the 4 delegates in favor needed to pass a motion. And then for substantive voting later on, we need at least 5 delegates vote in favor for passing a joint communique. So thank you, delegates. We shall proceed with the previous proposal from Delegate of Australia for a moderated caucus, a motion to have a moderated caucus for 10 minutes with 2 minutes each speaking time to discuss the strategy on tackling the climate change. And for this voting session, we need 4 at least 4 delegates in favor to discuss this motion. And the chair will be calling one by one. Please state whether you are in favor or against this motion. Delegate of Australia?
In favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Australia. Delegate of People's Republic of China?
The delegate of People's Republic of China is voting in favor with this motion.
In favor, thank you,
Thank you.
China. Delegate of Indonesia?
Delegate of Indonesia is in favor.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Delegate of Malaysia?
Malaysia is in favor.
Thank you, Malaysia. Delegate of Maldives?
Delegate of Maldives in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Maldives. Delegate of South Africa?
The delegate of South Africa is in favor with this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of South Africa. And Delegate of United Arab Emirates?
The delegate of United Arab Emirates is in favor in this motion.
Thank you, Delegate of United Arab Emirates. We have a full house here with all delegates voted in favor. So this motion clearly passes. And thank you for having the support. It's very great to see how all delegates are willing to discuss this topic proposed by Delegate of Australia. So we will have 5 delegates who can be added into the speakers list. But beforehand, Australia, would you like to speak first or last? We're gonna have 5 speakers.
I would like to speak for the last, please.
Okay, the last. Thank you, Delegate of Australia. For other delegates who wish to be included in the speakers list, please raise your hand virtually. The chair recognizes UAE and then Maldives. Thank you, UAE and Maldives. The chair recognizes South Africa and People's Republic of China. Thank you, all delegates, for raising your hand virtually very quickly. So we will be under the motions proposed by Delegate of Australia. And then I will be sharing my screen with 2 minutes speaking time and 10 minutes speaking. Okay. So United Arab Emirates, you're gonna be the first speaker for 2 minutes, and you may have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair and fellow delegates. Well, since the inceptions, the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment of the United Arab Emirates has embraced this program related to mitigating and adapting to the effect of climate change. For example, our national food security strategy involves us spearheading new directions in agriculture, such as cultivating new drought and salinity resistance varieties of seeds. We are also working on the national food and agriculture policy. Besides that, in order to control the effect of climate change, the United Arab Emirates is controlling emissions, reducing flaring of natural gas, increasing energy efficiency, and undertaking many other steps. Therefore, it is with great pride that the United Arab Emirates invites all countries in the Indian Oceans on this issue by helping each other improve each country's strategies to tackling climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, United Arab Emirates, for your speech. And next on the list, Delegate of Maldives. You may have the floor.
Okay, am I audible enough?
Yes, we can hear you, Maldives.
Okay, thank you so much for the recognition, Chair. Here's the delegates of Maldives who like talking about the strategy to tackling the climate change itself. The Maldives itself over 2 kind of programs, such as the first about the preventing programs and the second about how to resolve the effect of climate change itself. So the first about preventing programs, Maldives itself believes that the climate change can be decrease, such as like first about how to keep about the natural resource in each country, especially about the trees and etc. The second about how the climate change can be reduced by reducing the number of factory or give the technology through that and etc and etc for the technology side. And we believe that the collaboration such as in the terms of technologies between the developing country and developed country really needed here, because the countries from the developing country can to give a solutions or like become a trade exchange or like international trades. It's give the technologies from one country to the other countries. And the second solutions about how to give the solutions about how to uh, accomplish or resolve the effect of climate change. First, about how the countries can be preparing themselves for the floodings or for the climates, and it's being in each country, such as like the countries give the subsidies or etc and etc. When we believe that the countries can do that, and we believe the number of collaborations really need here. Thank you. That's all from the Maldives.
Thank you, Delegate of Maldives. Next on the list, Delegate of South Africa. You may have the floor.
Thank you, the Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates. As previously stated by the Delegate of South Africa, we would like to explain more about the solution that we already approach to tackle the climate issue. Since 2015, the nationally determined contribution, or NDCs, to the Paris Agreement have become the main instrument for guiding policy responses to climate change. 52 African countries have submitted their first NDCs and are now in the process of submitting revised NDCs in 2021. Also, South Africa has made great effort in driving the global climate agenda. This is demonstrated by the very high level of ratifications of the Paris Agreement, over 90%. Many South Africans have committed to transitioning to green energy within a relatively short time frame. Clean energy and agriculture are, for example, prioritized in over 70% of African NDCs. This ambition needs to be an integral part of setting the economic development priorities of the continent and also be a strategy on tackling the climate change. As stated by the Delegate of Maldives also, in order to implement the solution well, we need to more collaboration with the developed country, because the funding and the trade exchange per se is the part of the agenda and the strategy for making the solution is implemented well. That will be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of South Africa. Next on the list is Delegate of People's Republic of China. You may have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor, Chair, for the recognitions. So continuing with the agenda before, the China's delegations would like to convey that China will very much accept all the recommendations and demands from IORA countries and the dialogue partners to reduce or limit all productions that produces excess waste and increase the pollutions. And China will implement the Paris Agreement and also ratify and immediately form an institution that is specialized in dealing and researching environmental problems, especially in the marine area. We are also working on revising the regulations for economic development to be integrated with our green plan in an effort to address the problem of marine debris. For example, in the report of the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, or CPC, which held in Beijing, stressed the crafting of maritime power strategy that focuses on three main aspects. Yeah, that one of them is to protect the marine environment, and we also have form that form an formal state There is SOAC, or the State Oceanic Administration of China, is an administrative agency under the Ministry of Land and Resources. This agency is in charge of the supervision and management of the sea areas and protections of the marine environment. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of People's Republic of China, for your speech. Last speaker on this list is Delegate of Australia. Australia, you may have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair. As have been stated before, that the Indian Ocean is facing the climate change, and also the temperature is getting warming day by day. Australia NGOs have acquired deep and rich understanding of how the vulnerability to climate change varies on the ground, and put strategy by advocating at local, national, and international levels for effective mitigation and adapt the climate change. Based on this, we have about 5 solutions so that it can be applied to tackle the climate change. The first one is engaging in regional cooperation on climate change. The second, combining the folk science, indigenous traditions, modern science, and technology in implementing climate strategies. Number three, embracing the region terraces geography of each nations, and then initiating development corridor inland. And the end of the solutions is ensuring that cities and urban development sustainable and livable. For Australia, as the hot and dry country, it is highly exposed to the adverse impacts of climate change, including droughts, floods, and bushfires. Australia is also surrounded by developing countries that will be hardest hit by the impacts of climate change while having the least resources and capability to respond. So that's why Australia really needs strong collaboration among the other country, and then we can share the ideas and also all the regulations of each country so that it can help to tackle the climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of Australia. That marks the end of our moderated caucus, and thank you for raising these important motions. Before we proceed, delegate, the chair would like to inform you that perhaps after another 2 rounds of moderated caucus, we can the chair can entertain for an unmoderated caucus for you to continue working on the joint communique. But for the 2 other moderated caucus, chair would like to give a substantive note, bearing in mind that in the past 2 days, well, yesterday and today, we have discussed all the topics related to the maritime cultures, our prosperous Indian Ocean, and we also had discussions about spice route as a common heritage, the important for all member states, not only IORA member states, but also direct partners and other delegates who are invited in this meeting to have this preservation of our Indian Ocean. And we also saw breaking news about the oil spill and how it's very important to prevent this from happening again. And this morning we have touched upon the discussion on climate change, in which all delegations has declared and stated their proposals for resolutions. So the chair would like to encourage you to discuss about how these 3 topics are connected under the topic of spice route. Perhaps delegates can also discuss about the importance of preserving our cultural and also our natural heritages under from the threat of climate change, for example, and then how it's important from the maritime aspects and the maritime security. So perhaps delegates can propose motions related to this. That would be grateful, and the chair believes that would be also beneficial in to be included in the joint communique. So we will have another 2 rounds of moderated caucus, and now the floor is open for points or motions. Is there any motions or points on the floor? Maldives, the chair recognizes Maldives.
Okay, thank you so much for the recognition, Chair. The Delegate of Maldives would like to propose the motions, moderate caucus, with the speaker timer is 10 to 2.
Yeah.
With the topic is about how the countries can addressing the SDGs.
SDGs?
Yes, I mean, so sorry.
Thank you, Maldives. That would be in order. Is there any other points or motions on the floor? People's Republic of China, you recognized.
Thank you for the recognitions. So the delegate of China would like to propose a motion talking about China's plan to establish a joint task forces to prepare the nominations of the Spice Route for World Heritage. For total speaking time is 10 minutes with each speaker's time 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you, China. Could you kindly state your topic again? China's plan to have a joint
Plan to establish a joint task forces.
A joint task forces. A joint task force.
Yes.
To
For nomination to nominate the Spice Route for World Heritage.
Okay, the Spice Route for World Heritage. Okay, that would be in order. Another proposal from South Africa.
Thank you, the Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate. The Delegate of South Africa would like to raise a motion to discuss about how the IORA countries redevelop the spice route, interconnectivity for 10 minutes total time. For 10 minutes total time and 1 minute each speaking time. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of South Africa. That would be in order. So we will be voting based on the first delegate who proposed a motion, which is Delegate of Maldives. We need 4 delegates in favor to discuss this motion in order this motion to pass. So chair will be asking your country one by one for your vote. Please prepare whether you are in favor or against this motion. For a motion proposed by Delegate of Maldives to discuss how the countries can address SDGs for 10 minutes with 2 minutes speaking time. Delegate of Australia, are you in favor or against this motion?
Delegates of Australia is in favor, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Australia. Delegate of People's Republic of China.
The delegate of Republic of China is in favor with this motion.
Thanks, PRC. Delegate of Indonesia.
Delegate of Indonesia is in favor.
Thanks, Indonesia. Delegate of Malaysia.
Delegates of Malaysia is in favor.
Thank you, Delegate of Malaysia. Delegates of Maldives.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you, Maldives. Delegate of South Africa.
Delegate of South Africa is in favor with this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, South Africa. Delegate of UAE.
Is in favor, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, UAE. With this motion clearly received in favor votes from all countries present in this meeting simulation, then this motion clearly passes. And we will proceed with this motion from Delegate of Maldives to talk about how the countries can address SDGs for 10 minutes. Delegate of Maldives, would you like to speak first or last?
I would like, the delegates would like to speak last. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Maldives. So we have 4 more slots for delegates who wish to be included in the speakers list. Those of you who wish to be included in the speakers list, please raise your hand virtually. Perhaps delegates who haven't participated in the moderate caucus before, UAE, would you like to speak in this motion?
The UAE delegates will now speak in this motion.
Okay, thank you, UAE. Chair recognize PRC as the first speaker. And then other delegates who wish to be included? Delegate of Australia, Indonesia, Malaysia. Okay, Indonesia would be the second speaker. Thank you, Indonesia. 2 more slots, maybe Malaysia. Okay, Malaysia, third speaker, and Australia. Thank you, delegates. Now we will be under Maldives motion about how countries can address SDG. And we will have China as the first speaker. Yes. China, you may have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor, for the recognitions. So as previously discussed, the delegate China would say that China is on work or are in progress with this SDGs plan. So all elements of the government and non-government of China have started to revise the regulations and adopt the Paris Agreement. And we have made several restrictions on business license that produce excess carbon dioxide gas emissions. In this case, is the industrial energy. And we also work with the environmental organizations such as WWF and also on the Greenpeace to mobilize and educate youth generations, and then also the public to raising awareness in climate changes issues. That is all from China. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of China. Next on the list is Delegate of Indonesia. Indonesia, you may have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you, the Honorable Chair. So Indonesia take a big concern to SDGs and make a various plan to address the issue of SDGs. First, Indonesia has data to track the SDGs. The data is from MDGs, so it's like a sustained data track. And Indonesia has some company, university, and also NGO to make a solution for SDGs and increase the concern of the youth to SDGs. So to address this issue, to address the SDGs, not only for the government and the regulation the Indonesia take, but also Indonesia take a big role in university, and we hope that we can collaborate and Indonesia encourage to other members to also address the SDGs and make a collaboration to make a program that concern to SDGs. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Next on the list is Delegate of Malaysia.
Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair. Malaysia reaffirmed commitment to support and implement the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its 70 Sustainable Development Goals. One way that Malaysia is manage our natural resources and conserve the environment while mitigating the effect of climate change. Malaysia is implementing a green growth strategy under the 11 Malaysia Plan. We have made significant progress on all other dimensions of the SDGs as well and have put in place concrete measures to take them forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Malaysia. Next on the list is Delegate of Australia. Australia, you may have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For Australia, Australia has committed to the 2030 agenda, including the SDGs and the action for developing the fisheries and marine. Australia is committed to the SDGs as a universal global undertaking to end the extreme poverty and ensure the peace and well-being of people across the world. The 2017 Foreign Policy White Paper highlights Australia's responsibility to contribute to the global efforts to reduce poverty, alleviate suffering, and promote sustainable development. For Australia, achieving the SDGs, it will contribute to lasting global prosperity, productivity, and stability. The SDGs for Australia prioritize and long-standing efforts across a range of sectors. Likewise, the agenda on trade and infrastructure investment, they are in line with Australia's approach to driving growth and prosperity. Our development assistance supports efforts to build a stable and prosperous world with the focus on the fisheries and water, infrastructure, trade facilitation, and international competitiveness, agriculture, effective governance, education and health, building resilience, and gender equality. Our response to SDGs is shaped by our environment, governance systems, institutions, economy, and society. Australia is a constitutional democratic federation of states and territories sharing governance and regulatory responsibilities with the national level of government. So for Australia, we have a vital role in achieving the SDGs and always increasing the major part of increasing that SDGs for Australia. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Australia. Your time has elapsed. And last on this motion speakers list is Delegate of Maldives. Maldives, you may have the floor for 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much for the recognition, Chair, Honorable Chair, and distinguished delegates. Thank you for all our delegates that have been talking about this SDGs in this issue or in these motions. Maldives itself, when we're talking about the SDGs, the Maldives is truly one of the world maritime treasures that proper in a delicate environmental balance. Maldives emphasized in the SDGs number 13 and from the 17 goals that's over by the SDGs, we believe when emphasize the number the goals number 13s and the 14s, we believe that we can to reduce the numbers of climate change and etc. We believe that Maldives believes already included in the implementations of SDGs and ratify that SDGs conventions when it's already which it's already implemented in Maldives itself. The Green Globe Sustainable leaders work to preserve their island to the rest of the world may visit and experience the unique natural beauty. And Maldives itself believes that the SDGs can be implemented well to the all of the country, even it developing or developing countries, and even there is still lack of technology, still lack of the education, and still lack of some of the points. But we believe the SDGs itself have a purpose to gain up the all of the things that really needed to in the world, such as about the educations, climate change, especially about the nature and oceans. So we believe Maldives itself can support this SDGs itself and can propose some of the points that can ratify or can be a solutions for all of the country to resolve their problems or their issues by each country. Thank you. That's all from the Maldives.
Thank you, Delegate of Maldives. And we still have around 2 minutes and 11 seconds in this motion. Maybe another delegate who wish to speak. Is there any delegate who wish to be included or speak in the next 2 minutes? Okay, I couldn't see any. Okay, PRC. PRC, you may have another 2 minutes. Floor is yours.
Thank you for the recognitions, Your Honorable Chair. So I would like to state that China has some approaches to the SDGs. From what we have done and work on progress is the first is the synergy of strategies. So to integrate the 2030 agenda into China's mid and long-term development strategies, and creating the synergy and complementarity between the international agenda and domestic strategies, China has three plans. And the first plan is SDGs and China's 13th five-year plan. And the second is SDGs and the other sector long-term plans. And finally, the SDGs and BRI. So China has taken a series of pragmatic innovations initiatives, such as aligning 2013 agenda with national STI plan, and then national program of actions of ST of poverty reductions, and then innovation of the demonstration zones, and the last is Bank of Green Technologies. Thank you. That is all from China.
Thank you, Delegate of China. So that marks the end of our motions on under the topic how countries can address SDGs. So thank you, Maldives, for raising this motion. We still have another 2 pending motions to be voted. We can vote first for the motion proposed by Delegate of China, with the topic of China's plan to establish a joint task force to nominate the spice route for World Heritage. Countries, I will be calling your country's name, and please state whether you're in favor or against this motion. Australia?
Australia is against with this motion.
Thank you, Australia. Delegate of China?
The delegate of China is in favor with these motions.
Thank you, Delegate of China. Delegate of Indonesia?
Delegate of Indonesia is against this motion.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Delegate of Malaysia?
Malaysia is again for this.
Thank you, Delegate of Malaysia. Delegate of Maldives?
Delegate of Maldives is against with the motion.
Thank you, Delegate of Maldives. Delegate of South Africa? South Africa?
Delegate of South Africa is against this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, South Africa. Delegate of UAE?
The UAE delegates is in favor in this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, UAE. And the chair also recognized that the Delegate of Philippines has joined us. Delegate of Philippines, are you here?
Selamat pagi, Madam Chair. I'm really very sorry.
Selamat pagi po. Kumusta?
Yeah, I'm doing good and really very sorry for this morning session that I've never joined for about an hour because there's a blackout here in my province. So, yeah. So Luckily that there's a power connection right now, so I'm able to join now. So thank you so much for the opportunity once, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Philippines. Despite of the blackout, you still find ways to finally join us. That's great to have you again with us. So in the roll call, Miss Naila, please put Philippines. Are you present and voting?
The Republic of the Philippines is present and voting.
Okay, thank you, Philippines. So with the total number of 8 delegates, we need. Oh, it's gonna be even again. 5 delegates has to be in favor, but under chair's discretion, we still are gonna have like 4 delegates need to be in favor with this to pass a motion. But for substantive vote, we can have let me check. Philippines. Okay, so we can have 4 and 6. 4 for procedural voting and 6 for. Oh, actually, we can have. Sorry, chair stands corrected. We can have a minimum of 5 delegates present and state that they are in favor of proposing a motion, and then for substantive voting, we can have 6 people or 6 delegates at least in favor to pass a joint communique. So, Delegate of Philippines, are you in favor or against the China's motion to discuss China's plan to establish a joint task force to nominate the spice route for World Heritage?
The Republic of the Philippines is in favor for that motion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, delegates. With the total of 3 delegates voted in favor and 5 delegates voted against, then the motion fails, and we will proceed with another proposal from Delegate of South Africa to discuss how the IORA countries steadily develop the spice route interconnectivity, and we need 5 votes in favor in order this motion to pass. And the chair would like to encourage countries to discuss this topic before then the chair entertain unmoderated caucus. The chair will call again your country one by one. Delegate of Australia, are you in favor or against this motion?
Delegations of Australia is in favor.
Thank you. Australia, Delegate of People's Republic of China.
The delegates of People's Republic of China is in favor with these motions.
Thank you, China. Delegate of Indonesia.
Delegate of Indonesia is in favor.
Thank you, Indonesia. Delegate of Malaysia.
Delegation of Malaysia is in favor.
Thank you, Malaysia. Delegate of Maldives.
Delegate of Maldives is against with this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Maldives. Delegate of Philippines.
The delegates of the Republic of the Philippines is in favor. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Philippines. Delegate of South Africa.
The delegate of South Africa is in favor with this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, South Africa. Delegate of United Arab Emirates.
The UAE delegates vote against with this motion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, UAE. With 6 delegates voted in favor and then 2 delegates voted against, then this motion passes. And we will be under South Africa's motion to have a moderated caucus for 10 minutes with 1 minute is speaking time. And since we are only 8 delegates in this motion, in this meeting simulation, so for this committee session, the chair would like to encourage countries to speak, all delegates to speak, and it's only for 1 minute. So under chair's discretion, we will have 8 countries to speak in this motion. And before that, South Africa, would you like to speak first or last?
The last, please.
Okay. Perhaps Miss Nella, could you put okay. South Africa at the 8th speaker, yes, and then we can have 2 more speakers later on if you wish to talk again for another minute. So under chair's discretion, we will put the name of countries based on alphabetical order. So Australia will talk first, and then followed by PRC, and then followed by Australia, China, and then Indonesia, Malaysia, Maldives, and then we are missing, Philippines, and then UAE. Okay. So delegates, please prepare your speech, and then I will call you based on this order. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so I will be sharing my screen for the timer. And Delegate of Australia, you have 1 minute to deliver your speech. Australia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the recognition. So the spice route, also known as the Maritim Silk Road, is the name given to the network of sea routes that link the east with the west. They stretch from the west coast of Japan through the islands of Indonesia, India, until to Europe. And spice route is really important for IORA, or Indian Ocean Rim, because the spice route is also a crossing the region of the Indian Ocean. And also the journey is of spice route is based from the seafaring of the people previously. They go to some islands and go to the another islands, and then it becomes the spice route that we know now. As now the spice route has been highly in trade. And for IORA, it's really important to increase the spice route itself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Delegate of Australia. Next on the list, Delegate of China.
Thank you for the recognitions, Your Honorable Chair. So it is a theme with previous China's motion. So I would like we would say that this spice route has many important values for China itself and also the Indian Ocean's countries. One of which is history. So we really appreciate what South Africa has proposed, and we really appreciate it. And China will revive the maritime trade routes by building and increasing the capacity of ports in the South China Sea. And we want to remind again that by making this spice route as a World Heritage, it will improve and develop the connectivity in the Indian Oceans region itself. Thank you. That is all.
Thank you, Delegate of China. Next on the list, Delegate of Indonesia.
Thank you for the honorable chair. As we know, that spice route is really important, means that we must take an action, and for Indonesia to increase the interconnectivity for redevelop spice route. Indonesia has developed a strategy of collective sense of belonging towards the spice route. The strategy is to increase the awareness, togetherness, and sense of our belongings through the IORA countries. So Indonesia would like to encourage the other members of IORA to have a sense of belonging and collectively implement it for Spice Road. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Next on the list, Delegate of Malaysia. Malaysia, you may have the floor. Delegate of Malaysia. Delegate of Malaysia. Is Malaysia still in the meeting? Yes. Delegate of Malaysia, could you hear us? Perhaps Delegate of Malaysia are having connection issues. We shall proceed with the next speaker on the list is Delegate of Maldives. Maldives, you may have the floor for 1 minute.
Okay, thank you so much for the recognition, Chair, Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates. Here, Maldives will state that why Maldives is again with the motions, because first, it's about how the IORA countries, as Maldives are not the IORA members, we believe that the IORA members must be give a perspective or give a responsibility to the other countries, maybe like have a collaborations with non-IORA members. So we believe that these motions could be more developed. And the others about how the Spice Road can interconnectivity. We believe that this about how the multilateral negotiations or multilateral cooperation can be created, because if the IORA countries and non-IORA countries will be cooperate in the terms of the Spice Road, especially Maldives itself are including in this Spice Road. We believe that if this multilateral negotiation or corporations happen, it could be a really grateful
Thank you,
for
Delegate
the
of Maldives.
interconnectivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Maldives. Next on the list, Delegate of Philippines. Delegate of Philippines, is your connection is okay now?
Hello, is everyone hear me?
Yes, could you try to speak again one more time?
Hello?
Yeah, okay, we can
Hello,
hear
Madam
you.
Chair.
Yeah, you may have 1 minute to deliver your speech.
Okay, thank you so much for the recognition, Madam Chair. As we all know that, of course, Philippines is the second largest archipelagic country in the world, and yet it is a fully utilized its maritime resources to spark a surge its national economy and employment rate. And with that motion, we, the Republic of the Philippines, is in favor with a different perspective. Of course, for the redeveloping of this of the IORA, and with this kind of topic, it aims to promote the collaboration and cooperation among the member states, as well as have the advanced interest of the region or in other countries as a whole, including our economic and the trade growth. So it is a major milestone to us, for especially for this economic regional country, that we should have to integrate this kind of agenda. And really most important for being a community is that the main goal for this is to accelerate the economic growth and the social progress and the cultural development of the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Philippines. Your time has elapsed. Next on the list is Delegate of South Africa. South Africa, you may have the floor for 1 minute.
Thank you, the Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate. Admittedly, as stated by the other delegates beforehand, the Indian Ocean is too vast a space to be engaged with as a whole. The more immediate attention can be directed to the most proximate section of the Indian Ocean, as well as to the key strategic location to the region. The IORA as an organization should continue to develop its link with the spice route per se, including exploring development and investment interests, and also IORA as a whole and or individual member states, their maritime forces, and dialogue partner countries also should seek to play a meaningful yet sustainable role in perceiving and enhancing regular IORA maritime security dialogues. And also it's needed to targeted capacity building assistance program. This indeed needs a support efforts by the all IORA Working Group on Maritime Safety and Security to build a maritime security an even better place for every member state of the IORA. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of South Africa. Next on the list, Delegate of United Arab Emirates. UAE, you may have the floor for 1 minute.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair and fellow delegates. Well, the role of spice is an important commodity in trade in the United Arab Emirates has now shifted. There are various varieties of spice that were popular in the past. The spice trade is also no longer the main driver of the global economy as in the past. However, there is hope that the spice line will be popularized again through education, outreach, and integrate promotions. The United Arab Emirates spice trade is expected the return to popularity on a par with a Sikh route, which has returned the popularity throughout the IORA country. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of UAE. Perhaps the chair can invite Delegate of Malaysia if Malaysia is already present and audible. Delegate of Malaysia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Could you be able to deliver your speech, Malaysia?
Sorry, Madam Chair.
It's okay. Is your connection okay now?
Yeah.
Could you speak for 1 minute in delivering your speech?
Sure.
Okay. I will share my screen, and then Malaysia, you have 1 minute to deliver your speech.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Malaysia still trying to initiating the implementation of business matching with IORA countries. The countries around the Indian Ocean have very prospective economic potential. Malaysia is trying to become a country that influences both economically and politically between two oceans. Moreover, with a policy to realize the vision as a world maritime axis. A good and integrated infrastructure network has been a key factor to attract investment to Malaysia and has driven economic transformation since.
Thank you, Malaysia.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Malaysia. Your time has elapsed. Perhaps we have more time for one more speaker. Is there any delegate who wish to speak for one last minute? Okay, the chair recognizes Maldives. Maldives, you may have another minute to deliver your speech.
Okay, thank you so much for the recognition, Chair. Here's the delegates of Maldives. Once again, when we're talking about the how to increase the or redevelop the interconnectivity between the spice roads countries, we believe that it's the things is really needed. It's about in other hands from the from I mean about the international or the multilateral negotiations, we believe that the globalization itself, such as the modernizations or digitalizations from the technology, is really needed, such as about the whole the industrial revolutions 5.0 is really give all of the impact in the internet era. So we believe that the internet connectivity could be implemented well from the society to the other society in the IORA countries, and the others, the diplomacy sides from the IORA countries must be developed. Thank you.
Thank you, Maltese, just in time to end our motion. And thank you, delegates, for your participation in the past two motions. Now the chair could entertain unmoderated caucus for delegates to talk informally and to finish up the joint communique. However, beforehand, since the chair believes that we can still have more discussions in the moderated stage session, so the chair would like to announce that the submission of the draft joint communique, remember just the draft, the chair will receive, please submit the draft joint communique to the chair by 13:30, so 1 p.m. Half past 1 p.m. Jakarta time. So 30 minutes after we begin our committee session. Please submit it in, you can submit to the chair in a doc format, Microsoft Word doc format, and you may submit it into the direct message here in the Zoom platform. So if at 1:30 p.m. the chair did not receive any draft joint communique, then it could not be introduced in the meeting. So it's very important for delegates to submit it before 1:30. After you submit, the chair can review your draft joint communique and give inputs, and you can have further discussions to make that draft joint communique to be worked again, discussed again, and make it into the joint communique, and we voted in that draft in that joint communique after the presentation. So now the chair would encourage delegates to propose unmoderated caucus. Is there any points or motions on the floor? Delegate of South Africa.
Thank you, the Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate. The Delegate of South Africa would like to raise a motion to open the unmoderated caucus for 20 minutes. Is it in order?
Perhaps the chair would like to encourage if it's okay to reduce it into 15 minutes.
Okay, sure. So the unmoderated caucus for 15 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
That would be in order. Thank you, South Africa. Due to the time limit, the chair will just limit to vote on these motions first. Is there any objections to this motion proposed by South Africa to have an unmoderated caucus for 15 minutes? Seeing that there's no objection to this motion, then this motion passes, and we will have an unmoderated caucus for 15 minutes. Now the time in the chair's computer is 15:05, so we shall meet again at 11:20. Thank you, delegates, and have a great discussion in the unmoderated session.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hello, fellow delegates.
Delegates.
Hello.
Hello. So previously, as I stated before in the direct message, we already have a Google Docs link for our draft joint communicate first. Then we will working on it to be the joint communicate per se. So I just seen there some of you already put data on it, and I'm a bit struggling to transfer it into a more diplomatical way. So maybe some of you could also join to make it your data into a more diplomatical way, like putting the we emerge, we address, or something like that beforehand of your data per se. So you could open the tada tada tada. You could open the link in here. I already sent it to some of you, but maybe the rest of you didn't receive it well, so I will send it again. Nine, nine, nine. Here is a link for DigiDocs. So hoping that you guys could put your ideas or anything regards to your speech and our topic here. That would be all. Any other maybe inputs or somewhat from you, other delegates?
Still connect to the link because the UAA delegates still waiting for the connections.
Sure. Number one, I've seen that you have a kind of things. The number one in your video is it the effect that you sort of pray that you would be the best delegate. Everyone is kind of wanted to be snatched as the best delegate.
You're all the best.
Right. You're right.
So we're so if you and also maybe I want to ask to the chair afterwards, maybe after this unmoderated caucus, because I just pretty confused how and where to put the sponsored countries, because in a draft resolution maybe we could put it at first, then the participate countries in the bottom of it, but in this joint communique I just didn't found any format to put it sponsored and put it different with the participation countries.
Kak Dini, may I ask something, Kak?
Sure, you can ask me anything. Is it Australia, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. How about the submission?
What happened?
Is it only for one person to submit, or we
No,
all
I
of
think
us?
no, I think the submission per se is for all of us. So one